Hello, you're watching a news morning from Baku. I'm Bakhtiar Sanov and let's see the headlines. Wildfires continue to ravage Los Angeles with the death toll now climbing to 24. Thousands of structures destroyed and tens of thousands of residents flee. Iranian state media reports that the country conducted significant air defense drills as Tehran prepares for a potential clash with Israel and United States. Extinct Media Museum in Tokyo offers its visitors a glimpse into the realm of obsolete technology. In the United States, where wildfires continue to cause catastrophic damage in Los Angeles County, the death toll has risen to 24. Experts are now warning of a worsening situation due to drier weather conditions.
The United States National Weather Service warns that lingering dry weather and strong winds in Southern California will hinder efforts to contain the catastrophic wildfires. Fierce winds have been largely blamed for turning the wildfires into infernos that have leveled entire neighborhoods. Now the National Weather Service has issued red flag warnings, saying wind speeds of up to 50 miles per hour are expected in the early days of the week. Experts believe these forecasts place Los Angeles at risk of worsening conditions.
And as much as I wish I could give really good news about the weather, I do not have that news to convey. In fact, I have pretty bad news about the weather. The short term, we're having another Santa Ana event, as I mentioned, tonight into tomorrow. It isn't that strong, although it could still cause problems. We'll see another one, though, early in the week, and then another one beyond that, and toward midweek, that could actually, and I hesitate to say this, it could rival the strength of the original extreme wind event that drove these two urban conflagrations into populated areas.
Meanwhile, authorities say they're prepared for these weather conditions. The county is fighting the fires with federal assistance, using a combination of water trucks and aircraft dropping water and fire retardant.
Elevated critical fire weather conditions will continue through Wednesday. Please rest assured that your County of Los Angeles Fire Department will be prepared. These winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in all of Los Angeles County very high.
More than 100,000 people in Los Angeles County have been ordered to evacuate, while another 87,000 face evacuation warnings.
Croatia's President Zoran Milanovic has won presidential re-election, securing a second term for another 5 years in office. His victory reinforces his political influence and leadership in the country.
Croatia's President Zoran Milanovic, backed by the opposition Social Democratic Party, has secured re-election with over 74% of the vote in the presidential runoff for another 5 years. Milanovic, a critic of the EU and NATO, defeated Dragan Primorac of the ruling Conservative Party, who received 25% after winning 49.1% in the first round. Milanovic had previously won 49.1% in the first round 2 weeks ago, narrowly missing an outright victory. In his victory speech, Milanovic expressed gratitude for the trust shown by the electorate.
This is a big day for me personally, and I perceive this triumph as a form of acknowledgement, or at the very least, validation of my efforts over the past 5 years, representing an act of public trust in me.
Primorac conceded defeat and thanked voters and Prime Minister Andrej Plenković for their support.
I did my best to let the citizens get to know me better, to get to know my program to the extent it was possible. I presented a vision of a better, different, and proud Croatia.
Milanovic's victory strengthens his political influence and extends his rivalry with Prime Minister Plenković. The two have regularly clashed, with Milanovic accusing his conservative HDZ of corruption, and Plenković calling Milanovic a threat to Croatia's standing.
Another round of protests over the Novi Sad train station incident erupted in Serbia. Many are demanding answers from those in power and accountability for the incident.
Tens of thousands of anti-government protesters in Belgrade illuminated their mobile phones and observed 15 minutes of silence to honor the victims of railway station roof collapse. The protesters believe the government is responsible for the incident. The demonstrators are demanding accountability for the incident, which took place on November 1st, when the newly renovated roof of Novi Sad train station collapsed. They accuse those in position of power of corruption and nepotism.
We are here primarily to support the students and their demands, which are not only their demands, but I believe and hope the demands of the majority of people in this country. And because we were also students, and I think they now have the greatest energy to fight for all this and to persevere in it.
Protesters have repeatedly taken to the streets, blaming the disaster on poor construction stemming from corruption. Students call for the release of all documents related to the station's renovation and the prosecution of officials responsible for the tragedy.
Demonstrations started on November 28, 2024, against the Georgian government's decision to suspend the process of EU accession negotiations for 4 years, continue for the 46th day. Demonstrators in Tbilisi and Batumi called for renewal of parliamentary elections. They also demanded the release of those who have been arrested. Some demonstrators reacted to the judges gathered in a restaurant in Tbilisi. The demonstrators accused the judges of serving the government. Activists threw eggs at some judges who started to leave the restaurant. The police teams that arrived at the scene took security measures to ensure that the judges left the building. Meanwhile, some demonstrators were detained. The South Caucasus stands at a crossroads shaped by its rich history, yet scarred by conflict. As Azerbaijan and Armenia navigate their path toward peace, one lingering question remains. What role does the OSCE Minsk Group play in this evolving narrative? President Ilham Aliyev has a bold answer: dissolve it.
The South Caucasus, a crossroads of ancient history and modern geopolitics, has long been a hotbed of tension. At the heart of this unrest lies the decades-old conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, sparked by Armenia's occupation of Karabakh, an internationally recognized part of Azerbaijan. This conflict left behind a legacy of grief, with countless lives lost and lingering wounds that continue to shape the future of both nations. In an attempt to mediate peace, the OSCE Minsk Group was established in 1992. Yet despite the end of open hostilities after the Second Karabakh War in 2020, the group's effectiveness and relevance remain subjects of heated debate. President Aliyev recently reignited this debate, calling for the Minsk Group's dissolution as a necessary step towards lasting peace with Armenia.
The information that recently appeared in the media, namely the fascist statements of the first president of Armenia, once again confirms what we have known for quite a long time in principle, that Armenia was not going to vacate a single centimetre of Azerbaijani territory. They felt quite comfortable, as they thought, receiving billions of dollars worth of free arms from one ally and political and moral support from the other two. Thus, all three co-chairs of the OSCE Minsk Group during the period for which I am responsible were unequivocally on the side of the occupier. I am telling you this as a person who has been conducting negotiations within the framework of the Minsk Group since 2004 and has met with this troika a great number of times. Therefore, of course, we could not expect to get these territories back through dialogue. Neither could we expect to restore our territorial integrity through dialogue.
The OSCE Minsk Group, tasked with resolving the Karabakh conflict, proposed several plans over the years, yet none succeeded in breaking the deadlock. 1997, a comprehensive agreement was proposed, but founded amid Armenia's internal political turmoil. September 1997, a step-by-step deal suggested phased troop withdrawals and the introduction of peacekeepers, but was again rejected by Armenia. November 1998, the Common State deal offered Karabakh broad autonomy, which Azerbaijan turned down due to sovereignty concerns. 2007, the Madrid Principles were unveiled but failed to gain traction. 2009, at the G8 summit, the US, Russia, and France presented the basic principles, but progress remained elusive. 2020, during the Second Karabakh War, Azerbaijan reclaimed its territories through military victory, sidelining the Minsk Group. President Ilham Aliyev has underscored that a peace treaty hinges on the formal dissolution of the Minsk Group and constitutional amendments to affirm Azerbaijan's territorial integrity.
I hope that all our conditions regarding the peace treaty will be accepted, because there are no extraordinary issues in these conditions. The abolition of the Minsk Group, the amendment of the constitution. Without these, a peace treaty is impossible. If Armenia does not need a peace treaty, we do not need it either.
The Minsk Group's critics include former diplomats who have described its operations as largely ceremonial. Former US Ambassador Richard E. Hoagland remarked,
"We stayed in five-star hotels where we were usually assigned suites on the executive floor that gave us access to a private dining room and full bar at no additional expense. We always sought out the best restaurants in the cities where we found ourselves. We lived well while we showed the OSCE flag and reminded Baku and Yerevan that the Minsk Group exists. But to be blunt, very, very little ever got accomplished."
Since the Second Karabakh War, Azerbaijan and Armenia have engaged in direct talks focused on 5 principles, including mutual recognition of borders and respect for territorial integrity. In December 2023, the two nations took a pivotal step by agreeing to exchange prisoners of war and work towards normalizing relations. This breakthrough was followed in April 2024 by a historic agreement to demarcate their shared border, with Armenia returning several villages to Azerbaijan. These milestones, achieved through direct negotiations, cast further doubt on the Minsk Group's role and the true interests of its member states in the current peace process.
Diplomatic row between Algeria and France intensifies as Algerian officials have rejected accusations of escalating tensions with France following the deportation of a French influencer. The influencer, known as Doualem, was detained by French law enforcement agencies in Montpellier after his TikTok video was deemed controversial. He was sent to Algeria on Thursday but was quickly sent back the same day after Algerian authorities refused his entry. France's Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau criticized Algeria for attempting to humiliate France. Meanwhile, Algeria's foreign ministry responded, denying any intention of escalation or humiliation, accusing the French extreme right of waging a campaign of disinformation against the country. Iranian state media reports that over the weekend, the country conducted significant air defense drills. These exercises come as the country prepares for potential tensions with Israel and the United States under the incoming U.S. President Donald Trump. The drills are part of a larger 2-month-long military exercise that began on January 4th. This includes war games where Iran's elite Revolutionary Guards practiced defending key nuclear sites, such as Natanz, from simulated missile and drone attacks. Iran's military highlighted the use of new drones and missile technology as part of the exercises, signaling advancements in their defense capabilities. Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan participated in a Syria-focused meeting in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, alongside foreign ministers from the Arab League member states. The discussions addressed Syria's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and the path to regional normalization. In his address at the meeting, Turkey's Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan emphasized the importance of maintaining Syria's territorial integrity and sovereignty as key principles for guiding regional efforts. Hakan Fidan stressed the strengthening signs of normalization in Syria, highlighting the need for a balanced approach. Addressing the PKK-YPG, which Turkey, United States and EU nations recognize as a terrorist organization, and other terrorist organizations in Syria, Fidan stressed that if the PKK-YPG is sincere in its efforts to integrate with the central government, it should announce its dissolution. The meeting included foreign ministers from Saudi Arabia, Syria, Bahrain, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Oman, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, speaking on the sidelines, called for a smart approach to sanctions to ensure aid reaches Syrians and emphasized the importance of respecting Syria's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Turkey plans to invest over $20 billion in energy efficiency projects by 2030, targeting substantial savings across key sectors such as industry, buildings and public lighting. That is according to an expert at the Energy and Natural Resources Ministry. Bilal Düzgün, head of the Energy Efficiency and Environment Department at the ministry, told Anadolu Agency that a total of $8.5 billion was invested in energy efficiency between 2017-2023 under the country's first National Energy Efficiency Action Plan. He emphasized the country's commitment to expanding its energy efficiency projects under the second action plan. According to him, the second National Energy Efficiency Action Plan foresees an investment of $20 billion in all sectors between 2024 and 2030. Düzgün underlined that energy efficiency is crucial for sustainable development and combating climate change. He noted that over the past 2 decades, Turkey has emerged as one of the top OECD countries in improving energy efficiency, achieving a reduction in energy intensity of more than 30%. Tucked away in central Tokyo, the Extinct Media Museum offers a nostalgic journey into the world of vintage technology. The museum showcases a wide array of obsolete gadgets, from Betacams to floppy disks, allowing visitors to experience firsthand the tools that once shaped the media landscape.
The Extinct Media Museum in Tokyo is a tribute to the gadgets and devices that have since been replaced by modern technology. With items dating back over a century, including a 1916 Japanese-produced Lily film camera, the museum offers a fascinating glimpse into the past. 59-year-old Mika Matsuda, a visitor to the museum, describes the experience as a walk down memory lane.
It is fascinating not only for generations unfamiliar with these items, but also for those who lived through those times. Seeing these pieces feels like I'm having a flashback of our own lives. It reminded me of how things were back then. I used to have so much fun. It's such an interesting museum that brings up those memories to people.
For many visitors, the museum is more than just a place to see relics of the past. Barbara Asker, the museum's deputy curator, explains that the collection is meant to remind us of the inevitable obsolescence of technology.
The museum was founded on the principle that all media other than paper and stone will die out, so all the current popular media equipment will eventually disappear, just like the items we display here. The purpose is to showcase those items and share the fun with everyone.
What truly sets the Extinct Media Museum apart is its interactive approach. Visitors don't just observe old gadgets, but are also invited to touch, hold, and engage with them using all 5 senses. Barbara Asker explains how this tactile connection enhances the museum experience.
You can't really tell the weight of this camera just by looking at it. You wouldn't know how heavy it is or how you have to carry it. Equipment often has its own smell too. There is so much you can learn just by holding it, such as its weight, texture and scent. We want visitors to experience these items using all 5 senses, not just through glass.
The museum's collection is primarily made up of donations from visitors like Hisashi Ito, a 56-year-old automobile designer. Recently, he donated a handheld watch and cassette tapes from his personal collection.
面白がってもらえるっていうのが
I would be happy if people found them interesting. Even if I kept those gadgets at home, they would probably just be thrown away when I die. So it's better to share them and let people enjoy them.
まあ例えば自分が死んだら多分そのまま捨てられちゃうと思うんですよね。
The Extinct Media Museum is not only a place to view artifacts of a bygone era, but also an opportunity to experience the tangible history of technology. With admission priced at approximately 2,000 yen, equivalent to $12.70, it's a thought-provoking and interactive experience. A visit to this unique museum is a chance to connect with the past, preserving memories before they too become history.
That's all we have for this hour. You can also get the latest news and headlines around the clock on our website, that is anews.tv. Thank you for joining us, and also we wish you a good day ahead.